In the last few weeks, we have been working on creating our own server, MCP, which allows us to bring all the eCode functionalities to be used from AI tools like Cursor or Cloud Desktop. Initially, we released our version of the MCP server for local use, but right now we have also released a remote version that, through the SSE protocol, allows the use of from YepCode without needing to start any process on the machine. So let's see how this would work. What types of actions we expose, which will basically be two: executing code generated by LLM and also exposing tools you may have created in your YepCode account. So let's start by setting up our AI tool. In this case, we're going to use Cursor. So we go to the settings of Cursor, and in the section for MCPs, we can add a new MCP. We copy the configuration from our MCP repo, and here we need to set the SSE server URL. For that, we go to our YepCode team in the settings section, API credentials. Here we would have our API token if we want to do an integration using our YepCode Run SDK. But in this case, we are going to copy our remote server URL, SSE, okay? Then we save, and automatically Cursor detects that we have a new MCP server and already shows us the available actions, okay? We see here the run code action with which, in which we can ask our agent to execute, to generate and execute any script in JavaScript or Python. Additionally, logs are available to provide feedback and for people to correct errors that may appear. And also something very important, the use of any type of NPM or PyP library, that these scripts can be used. So no installation is needed, since all of this is done within the YepCode platform. Well, let's see how this server would work. In this case, we have an .env file here, which does, it defines two environment variables of one of the platforms that we use the most in our daily work, which is PostHog, for everything related to instrumentation within the. So, okay, what we want is for this environment variables to be available within YepCode for their use in the scripts that the large language model can generate. Then we can say, can you please we simply ask you to create these variables. It's just to show a first action of that. What we see here is that it is invoking the setTemp of this tool, and with this we can go to our YepCode account. It's something we could have done manually by creating the variable, okay? But this way, these tools are already available here. So if we go back to the cursor, we see that the run code action can now make use of those PostHog variables. So we can say to it, okay, here is the PostHog API specification. Well, we can say to the cursor, do you want to read this? Damage with information about our '19. Well, that is, we provided information from the documentation of the PostHog API, and we tell it to retrieve information about our segments, okay? And here we see that Cursor has decided to generate a script, in this case in Python, and we are going to execute it. That is to say, a script has been generated to retrieve this information from the cohorts. Now we can see the generated code, but the most important thing is that here we have information about two cohorts that we have created, you know, and where it shows, well, the users that are there. If we go to our YepCode account, we will see that a new process has appeared, in this case Python. That makes use of a request library that has been installed. Here it is installed. This library has been installed at the process level in YepCode. You can have dependencies at the team level for both JavaScript and Python. And we see here that, well, Cursor has decided to use the API keys, well, the environment variables that we already had available, and it has made a call where it retrieved information from the cohorts. That is, we have developed nothing, and here we have that information, okay? The action that Cursor relied on in this case was the run code, okay? This is great when we want to resolve tasks that we don't really know how to solve and want to delegate that to the LLM. But now let's do a new use case where we make use of a tool that we generate ourselves, which has specific input parameters, and let's see how that would work. Okay. So we go to our YepCode account, and in this case, we are going to work with this process. Okay, TheirStack job search. Well, TheirStack is a platform that that aggregates information about jobs that are posted and the companies that publish, and it's super interesting for obtaining information about the intentions of these companies, where they are directing their technology, and making a much more appropriate approach to them. Right? They allow for searching for jobs or companies, and also offer an API, a REST API to consume their information. So in this case, we are going to use a process that is already implemented. We have implemented it also with Cursor, but in our local environment and through the CLI, we have published it in YepCode, and in this case, it makes use of Stack's API key. Okay, and the interesting part of this process is that it receives input parameters, right, which it uses in the job search operation. These input parameters in the code are defined as a JSON schema, which you can also ask Cursor to generate for you. Okay, and so at the time of execution of this process, well, the normal functioning of YepCode is to show you these parameters so that you can fill them in. Okay, this is for on-demand execution. Also, if we had a webhook, these parameters could be passed for this process execution. Okay, but what we are going to do now is expose this process as a tool for our MCP server. This can be done simply by adding a new tag to this process, MCP tool. So if we go back to Cursor and we update our server, as we see that there is already a new tool here, run the start your search, okay? And the agent, well, already knows it. So now we could do something as simple as telling it. So let's create a new job, for example, in, okay, we tell it to retrieve jobs that include the word LLM in the United States. Okay, and if it's smart, perfect. Then it realizes that there is a tool from the start job search, right? And build the input parameters for this tool. Okay, and it is running, and here we have the result of this, which is what the API of TheirStack returns to us. That is, we have interacted with it, and this tool is available for us to continue invoking with different parameters. The same, everything is always recorded in YepCode. If you go to the executions, you can see this execution with these parameters that have been provided. And here is the output, which has been in JSON format, which is the implementation we have. But in this case, the course knows how to interpret it. And here we have this output. With this approach, you can expose any type of tool that relies. In this case, it uses Axios, but we could use any library to connect to your database, Snowflake, to your OpenAI to make other invocations, to a Kafka queue to publish events, right? I mean, you can add all these integrations, make use of our system of variables to store credentials securely, and build tools that without any need for deployment can be available for use from tools, AI like Cursor, Cloud Desktop, etc. Right? All thanks to our MCP server, in this case deployed remotely. Okay, well, I hope you liked it, and it would be a pleasure to hear any kind of feedback on this new way of using YepCode.